7 p.m. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Excuse me. Fire evacuation. If there's an emergency in the building, there's a door in the back. You can exit away from the building, and then or take this door to our my left, go down the stairs and away from the building. Roll call. Yep. Roll call. Yeah, there you go.
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Here.
Kevin Zorda, absent. Virginia Higley, here. Kelly Hemler.
Here.
Dylan Bridge.
Here.
Ann Collins, absent. Ken Kaufman.
Here.
Chris Renault.
Here.
Robert Gillespie.
Here.
Okay. Thank you. I'd like to see Chris and Robert today. Thank you. Public communications and petitions. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to speak regarding items not on the agenda? Anybody want to speak on items not on the agenda? Seeing none. Correspondence. We did receive an email today from Donna Richer regarding the land use webinar for Saturday, March 22nd. It's a Zoom meeting. So she needs, if you want to attend, you have to reply to her by the 15th. Okay. That's all I had. Minutes, December 17th.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Kelly. So Ginny and Kelly. Any discussion? Corrections? I did have one. So the November 19th meeting, I thought Kevin and Ginny, Kevin made the motion and Ginny seconded it, but then we did an amendment to it to correct the spelling, and that was Dylan and Kelly who did the...
Yeah.
I definitely remember bringing it up, but I don't remember who seconded what though.
Okay. Well, I wrote it down, so. Okay. Yeah, it was a misspelling on one of the words, so hopefully that was fixed. Okay.
So we want to do a motion to approve on
On the amendment?
amended.
Mm-hmm. That's Kelly? Yep.
Second.
So Kelly and Ginny again. Roll call?
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
Chris Renault.
Yes.
Robert Gillespie.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Next is our town attorney report dated December 24th, and it tells us about the current litigations, an update on that. There's no continued public hearings, but now we have a new public hearing. It's IW 714, 20 Oliver Road, application for a wetland permit to develop a horse training facility, Seafood Delight Farm LLC, applicant owner, map 47, lot 42. Right here. Oh, perfect. So let me go over some of the rules. Get this out of the way. Okay, so the applicant will give statements about the application, and then afterwards, the agents and staff may ask questions and make comments. Then we will hear from the public if there's anybody that wants to speak for or against. And it's only regarding concerns of the inland wetlands. Please do not bring up anything regarding P&Z or other agencies. All those wishing to speak would have to state their name and address for the record, and we probably won't set a time limit. There's not too many people here. We'll then hear statements from the applicant to address any concerns that he heard from the public. Did the applicant send out the abutters notices, or is that? Okay, perfect. And you have that. The secretary can read the legal ad.
This was published in the Journal Inquirer on Thursday, December 26th and Thursday, January 2nd. The Enfield Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Agency will hold a public hearing at their regular meeting of Tuesday, January 7th, 2025 at 7 p.m. in the Town Hall Council Chambers, 820 Enfield Street, Enfield, Connecticut, concerning the following applications. IW 714, 20 Oliver Road, application for a wetlands permit for regulated activities in connection with the development of a horse training facility, Seafood Delight Farm LLC applicant owner, map 47, lot 42, I-1 zone.
Okay, so can I have a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
So there's Kelly. So who seconded it?
Ginny.
Ginny?
Yeah.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, unanimous, of course. So the applicants are here to give their statements. Hi. And
Good
give your
evening.
name and address in that.
I'm Tim Kuhn, professional engineer with J.R. Russo and Associates, here tonight representing the applicant Seafood Delight Farms. And with me on my right is Matt Davison, the soil scientist from Davison Environmental, and Nick Van Villis, who is the owner of Seafood Delight Farms, is with us as well. I'm going to switch because it looks like when I sent these, I put Exhibit 1 at the back instead of the front.
Get the exhibit down here.
Yeah, it's not showing on our,
Oh, okay. I don't
It's
know.
not showing on our screen down here.
oh, here it comes. There you go. Just take a minute.
So this is the existing site. It's about 59.3 acres at, the address is 20 Oliver Road, but as you can see, Oliver Road is to the north on the right of this figure, and Route I-91 is to the east, which is the top of the page. So north to the right, east is up. The land is zoned industrial. It's currently occupied by a house in disrepair, which is right in this area here. It's accessed by a dirt road that comes off of Oliver Street. There is an intermittent stream which crosses from the east to west up along the northern portion of the property. It kind of comes across like this, and then it enters a culvert and continues on underneath Route I-91. That stream crossing is, the driveway stream crossing is facilitated by a 60-inch corrugated metal pipe currently. The central portion of the property, as you can see, is currently maintained as a hayfield. And then there are wooded areas along both the eastern and the southern portions of the site. The wetlands were delineated by Matt here and the people at Davison Environmental. Those wetland flags were put in the field and surveyed. And the lines, these white lines on the screen, actually not this one, because this one was off in the woods. So, but these up in the area of the development represent the flags that Matt put out in the field. And he'll be able to speak more about the wetland delineation later. I'll give him an opportunity. But there were essentially, as I mentioned, the intermittent stream up on the northern portion of the property. There was this isolated wetland in the vicinity of the existing house. Then we have the wet meadow in the field. And then there were also forested wetlands, both along the eastern property line in those woods and as well in the woods to the south. What is being proposed is a horse training facility. This is just an overview of where things are going. As you can see, the main thing is a half-mile oval track for the horses to train on. This will be located in the field area. We're proposing 3 barns up on the northern end, as well as a gravel parking area and gravel driveways. This would be the parking area next to this barn. And this is a turnaround and parking place for horse trailers as well, which will be gravel. The driveway is proposed to be improved and widened to 18 feet to accommodate emergency vehicles. In order to do that, we are going to be replacing the existing 60-inch corrugated metal pipe culvert with a new and longer arch culvert. And the arch culvert, basically, we can pour a foundation on both sides of the stream and have it arch over. And what this does is it's going to allow for basically restoration of the stream bed in that area, and it certainly reduces the amount of wetland impact associated with that crossing. The track, as I mentioned, we are proposing it in the field area. We selected The location to avoid the most sensitive wetlands, which are the wetlands, really the forested wetlands, are the most sensitive on the site, which Matt will talk about later. The track will slope inward, so any runoff that hits it will go into the center. There will be pipes, because right now the runoff actually flows from the eastern property line across the field to the west. And so we're going to have a series of pipes underneath the track in order to maintain those existing drainage patterns and allow the water to continue to flow across the field to get to the western side. Where the track requires fill over wetlands, we are proposing to remove the topsoil and place in a crushed stone. And we are doing this in order to maintain the groundwater conveyance and recharge and discharge functions that wetland currently provides. And we felt this was important so it minimizes the impacts to the wetlands by what we're doing out there. The barns and the gravel parking lot obviously are going to be up in the vicinity of the old house. This will be serviced by public water, which will come off of Oliver Road, and sanitary sewer. And there's actually an existing, this little line right through here is an easement, and there's a 27-inch sewer main which currently crosses the property. So we'll be connecting to that with our sewer. We'll also be providing an on-site stormwater drainage system up in the area of the ponds and the barn. And I'll just go to this one, it'll blow it up a little bit. So that will include catch basins and some yard drains, some piping, to collect the runoff from the roofs and the gravel parking area, and divert that through a stormwater treatment unit prior to discharge into an infiltration basin, which will be located here south of the barn. The infiltration basin has been designed in accordance with the DEP stormwater manual to provide the required treatment, detention, and groundwater recharge, so that there will be no negative impacts downstream of our site after construction. For soil erosion and sediment controls, we're proposing the standard sediment barriers, downgrading of all of our work areas, as well as you can see we're kind of outlining any of these existing wetlands in the fields to protect them as well during construction. We will be providing silt sacks in the catch basins, an anti-tracking pad to prevent sedimentation out in the streets, temporary material stockpiles surrounded by sediment barriers, and seeding to restore all disturbed areas as soon as practicable to stabilize the site. In total, the project will result in approximately 2.85 acres of wetland disturbance. This includes about 515 square feet of permanent fill, which is associated with the culvert replacement and roadway widening, 150 square feet of temporary disturbance associated with the water service installation across the brook or the intermittent stream, 923 square feet of temporary disturbance associated with the installation of the sanitary lateral to connect to the existing main which crosses our property, and then approximately 2.8 acres of fill of existing wetlands in the hayfield. Now, the hayfield, obviously, and Matt will go into the functions and values later, an area that's been previously disturbed and in agriculture. And as I noted before, we will be in those areas of fill. The initial layer will be crushed stone so that we can maintain the conveyance and recharge-discharge functions that are currently provided. And the temporary disturbed areas we will restore, and we anticipate they're going to revert back to the same that they were previously. With regard to alternatives analysis, we did look at several concepts while we were developing this plan. Initial versions had the track, further to the south and and east. We had barns over in the woods on the eastern side as well. And initially, we were also planning on replacing the 60-inch culvert by just putting in another one and extending it to make it longer to facilitate the width that we needed. However, the current plan is what we came down to, and we've selected to, these measures in order to avoid and minimize the wetland impacts for the final design, which essentially takes the track and pushes it to the north and west as much as possible so that it's completely in the field area and not in any of the forested area. The barns and gravel driveways we took out of the forested area. We put them all up around where the existing house was. And as I mentioned, where we're filling the track, we opted to, rather than use standard base, we're going with crushed stone so that we can, maintain some of the functions and values of those wetlands. And as I mentioned before, we also decided to go with an arch culvert as opposed to just extending the pipe to minimize the disturbance there as well. So that is essentially what is being proposed out there. It's currently agriculture. The proposed use is agriculture. We feel it's the best use for this property, which has been sitting there for sale for many, many years. At this point, I'll turn it over to Matt so he can discuss the wetlands.
Thanks, Tim. Again, for the record, Matt Davison with Davison Environmental. Our office is in Chester, Connecticut, and I reside in Guilford, Connecticut. I was telling Tim earlier, though, I graduated from Windsor High School. As Tim mentioned, we did delineate the wetlands. We delineated the wetlands over a long period of time. This project was sort of conceived over a long period of time. Obviously, it's a challenging site. We started in the spring of 2023. We did some delineation then. We came back again, and we didn't say to my impact assessment, we did come back in the summer. I actually came back with Eric and another soil scientist to review some of the boundaries just to double check. And then we finished up in December. As a lot of you probably know, the soils in this part of the state are very difficult to delineate. This is the southern end of the old glacial Lake Hitchcock, so you get the glacial lacustrine soils, which are just, from a soil scientist standpoint, when I get a call that we have a job to delineate an Enfield, it's always one of the characteristics of these soil types is a lot of times the wetlands are nondescript. So, even when you walk onto a site like this, we did not expect to flag this many wetlands. I don't think Tim or the owner expected that so much of the site was wet. And, if you're not there early in the spring, it won't look wet. And that's kind of the case with this particular site. So a lot of these wetland areas are, again, sort of nondescript, especially in the field area. When you go into the forested areas, it's much more obvious. And certainly the highest quality wetlands are in the forested areas here. We did a functions and values assessment, and really the principal function of the wetlands that are subject to disturbance on the site in the agricultural field are what I call the water quality functions: sediment, pathogen, toxicant retention, basically the ability of a wetland to filter out pollutants, sediment, and attenuate those pollutants. And you get those functions in landscapes where you have a dense emergent vegetation, typically low gradients, so the water's moving very slowly through the wetlands, and it has a lot of time to interact with the vegetation, which you have here. Here, if it's okay, I'll just. The wetlands have been subject to, some of the wetland areas have been subject to historic disturbance. I'll just show a couple areas. This area that sort of bisects the whole site here, I looked at this area multiple times. It's not wet all the way through. But I didn't want to leave it out because I did have wet holes there. And also I think functionally, as far as this whole wetland system goes, it's important. Sometimes I say that, when you delineate wetlands, yes, it's soil types, but also there's some functionality there that you look at. And so I didn't have 100% of the holes wet through here, but enough of them were wet. And again, this area is very important to the overall wetland system in that it basically connects this upper wetland area to the lower wetland area. There is a hard pan in here, which I think is some type of tile drain or some type of stone that was placed in this area years ago by a farmer to provide for conveyance there. If you're out in the field, there's a very vague depression there, which was probably created years and years ago to essentially capture all this water and put it through a controlled area to get to the bottom end of the property. Similarly, this little isolated wetland out front here looks like parts of it were manipulated. There's actually a part of it here that looks like it was probably created for stormwater. It's actually bermed on the backside, and it looks like someone put some plantings in there. So yeah, there's the wetlands have, and again, you know, sort of nondescript. If you go out there, it's not going to be obviously wet. You really have to dig holes to see that. As Tim mentioned, this site is challenging in that there are so many wetlands. So as we got involved early on, and Tim kind of glossed over the alternatives, but there were a lot of alternatives that were presented, and there were some sort of conditions or things that we were looking for from a wetland standpoint out of the project for us to support it. And those are in my recommendations in my impact assessment, and those recommendations have all been adopted. Our recommendations were we wanted the development to stay within the maintained agricultural areas because the highest quality wetlands were in the wooded areas. I do think there's vernal pools up in the wooded area by the highway. We didn't survey for them. Some of the earlier alternatives had buildings and infrastructure within those wooded areas, so there'd be tree clearing and fill in those forested wetlands, and we had a back and forth, and ultimately the development was settled into the existing agricultural areas, which I think is really good. Another thing that we discussed early on was maintaining the existing hydrology. So again, the site's sort of draining from east to west towards the highway, and it's important to maintain that hydrology in this system here, and that's being done with the gravel and stone underlayment, which will allow the groundwater to continue to be conveyed. There's very little surface water movement. Even in the spring, you're probably not going to see surface water in here, so I think groundwater conveyance is suitable. In some locations, actually, where the track is slowing down that groundwater, you're actually enhancing the water quality wetland functions, and that increasing retention times for water quality functions is a good thing. So, and I had this in my recommendations, it's important, especially in the inside of the track where you may get some impoundment, that those areas continue to be densely vegetated, which as long as you're not messing with those areas, that vegetation there it'll do it on its own. But where water impounds and you have that interaction between the water and the vegetation, it's good for water quality. Tim mentioned the arch culvert. Another one of our recommendations was that crossing be compliant with the Army Corps stream crossing guidelines. That's why it's an arch culvert. Originally, the culvert crossing would not have complied with the Army Corps stream crossing guidelines. I always recommend to clients that if you follow those guidelines, you're essentially doing what the Army Corps promotes to minimize impacts to streams and aquatic wildlife and that kind of thing. So they made that change. That was a change in the plans. That was the result of the recommendations. Another one of our recommendations was that stormwater quality be treated in accordance with the new manual. One of my initial comments on the plan set when Tim sent it to me was, you're not going to get infiltration on this site. So, and he said, actually, we did infiltration tests here, and we have a patch there of soils that'll infiltrate. So that was great. They've placed a conservation easement certainly over the highest quality wetlands on the site. So overall, you know, with a site like this, again, a challenging site with a lot of wetland impacts early on, I wasn't sure if this was a project, honestly, that we would support. I sort of applaud J.R. Russo for, and I even said it to Tim when I got the plans after we went back and forth for a while, you guys did a really good job here. I think they've done the best they can with this site. I think with the design elements that they've included, I do not anticipate adverse impacts to the wetlands. You have wetland filling, but it's in an agricultural area, and you know you're not taking away enough of the wetland to impact water quality functions. And with some of the slowing of the groundwater movement, you actually have the possibility of enhancing those functions again by increasing retention times in the groundwater. I think it's about all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
Oh, that's good, thank you.
I just wanted to follow up, because Matt mentioned the conservation easement, which is something that I failed to mention. And that is as a mitigation measure for this wetland filling that we're doing, we do have an area, the forested area in the southwest corner. It's about 13.2 acres or something like that, I believe, which we are putting in a conservation easement to permanently protect that area.
That was going to be my question, because it
Yes.
said proposed, so I wasn't sure if you were.
It's proposed there, obviously.
But it
when
will
this-
be, yeah.
When this goes through, it
Yeah.
will, yes. We would put that in an easement, so.
Thank you.
And I believe that's it. We'd be happy to answer any questions you have.
Okay. Right. Did you have anything, Stephen?
So after staff review, I can agree with both the representative for J.R. Russo and Matt that they have done a great job in doing what they can to help preserve the wetlands that are there, make sure that they keep functioning as is. And J.R. Russo has gone through and addressed the comments that I had asked about prior, and Matt was here when I asked him, because with the wetland report, I didn't see a delineation, so I just asked if there was a separate page for that. While there was not a separate page, he did confirm that he reviewed the site plan, and the wetlands delineation, as you see here, does appear to be correct. So he has confirmed that the wetlands that you see here are the ones that he has delineated. Most staff comments were minor tweaks, such as there was a typo with the frontage, and the 2 runout sheds in the back. I didn't see how they would be accessed. J.R. Russo did say that they will show on the site plan a gate towards the south end of the track. So that way, if the horses do need to get to the outshed, that they may be able to reach it. And just one question for the applicant. I know you had called me either, I think, late last week about the third comment that engineering had left. Do you know what that was, how that resolved, or?
It has not been resolved yet. So the engineering comments, one of their comments was questioning what we were doing with our equestrian wastewater. There will be some wash areas in the barns, which we intend to have floor drains for. And I contacted them because I got their comment late last week. I tried to reach them yesterday. I have not received a return phone call from them. However, we anticipate that probably worst case, they're going to require us to put in some type of a separator, which we'd be happy to do. We'll do whatever they require. It wasn't clear in their comments what they were going to require, so I did try to follow up with them, but I just haven't heard from them yet. But we'll do what they want us to do in order for us to discharge that wash water into the sanitary sewer.
Thank you. That being said, there are no other staff comments that that have any wetland concerns. So, and you know, the equestrian wastewater can be resolved at the PZC meeting, so we do not need to worry about that comment.
Okay. It says the water pollution control is in progress?
Yes, we did not get I checked OpenGov before I came down to this meeting, and they still did not make any comments yet, but they will also see the application again for PZC.
Anybody to my left have any questions, comments, concerns? To my right? No.
Actually, if I may add Anne's email that she had sent earlier this morning.
Sure.
So Anne she unfortunately cannot be here. She had asked that, so she says that she feels that this is a very desirable land use. I would like a site walk on the pending permit in regard to the drainage into the wetlands and safety concerns with the type of fencing and proximity to the neighborhood houses and roads, especially if there is interest from other commissioners or the public.
Okay. So, with that being said, fencing and the neighboring houses and that is not inland wetlands concern, so. I thought the drainage is covered. They did a good job covering that. The other thing I saw was, according to our regulations, this is almost as of right. This is as of right, except that they're going to be filling and reclaiming some.
Right.
But other than that, they wouldn't need a permit if they weren't filling in the wetlands. Which is because horse training is considered farming, I guess.
Yes, it's an
Yeah.
agricultural use,
Yeah.
which typically would be as of right.
As of right, yeah, so I thought that was interesting. But, let's see if I have any other questions. So the stockpiles has been updated on the site plans, or?
Yeah, it'll be updated on the.
On the final?
On the final site plan, but yeah, and I believe I answered that. If you, yeah, actually, I think it's updated on this one. This
Okay.
temporary stockpile was over on this barn.
Right,
This is actually the future barn, so we will utilize this temporary stockpile area during the initial construction, and then it'll be gone by the time they construct that future barn.
thank you. All right, so that was answered. I think that was all my questions I had. Yeah. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Just wanted to confirm the only fill is going to be stone.
The only fill will be stone. As I mentioned, there are some temporary impacts where we'll be trenching through a wetland to put in either our sanitary lateral or the water service, and then we'll put the material back and it'll be restored.
But
Otherwise-
you're not bringing soil from another, it would be from the same?
No, the only other place that's potentially around the culvert crossing, where the road is being widened, that area, we may need to bring in some structural fill for the roadway, which will extend beyond where the edge of the existing road is into the wetland there, but it's minor wetland fill in that area as well.
Okay, I think staff will need to make sure that it's clean fill, right?
Yeah.
That would be associated with the roadway construction. Typically, they bring in a processed stone and stuff, or gravel for that, which is specified in our details.
Okay. And with the stockpiling of snow, if it's pushed to the side, it looks like it might be in the wetlands. Is there a plan not to have salt in there?
I believe this area would be where we would stockpile it if it got to be to a point where
Okay.
we have to stockpile it somewhere, which is away from the wetlands. Do you use salt at your farm for
I don't
de-icing?
use salt, no. I have a small farm in Summers, which we actually train right now on. So we don't use salt on the track. It's not good for their feet.
I was gonna say,
that's right.
I was gonna say that, yeah, I thought so.
Allows me to use some salt to
Okay.
to snow for customers.
Excellent.
Good for their feet.
Thank you.
Okay. One more for a site-specific condition. It was mentioned on the wetland impact assessment on page 5, that post-construction monitoring to confirm the adequate emergent vegetation of the track, is that all right? To make sure that,
Along the inside edge of the track, just to make sure that it's not unvegetated, and
yeah, so that would be monitored afterwards.
So
I
we're
think that
adding
would
on?
make sense.
Yeah, so we'd add that as a condition.
Okay. This said page 4.
Yeah, it was page 5 of the impact assessment. It was on the bottom of it.
No?
Where was it? Right here.
Section 5, number 2 in italics.
Yeah. On the bottom. So post-construction monitoring is recommended. For adequate vegetation. Yeah, that's all. And I guess the other was the handling of the equestrian wastewater. Make sure that the staff approve it.
Staff approval.
Is that fine, everybody?
I'm sorry, I was just rereading the,
Oh, the question?
yeah, I was rereading that. I'm sorry. What
No, that's
was,
fine. It was site-specific is handling of the equestrian wastewater that the staff, make sure that happens.
making sure that the inner part of the track is monitored for vegetation, correct?
Right. And then the second one is handling of the equestrian wastewater.
Yes, we will
So put that as a
work with
second one. Yeah,
PZC that
yeah.
the handling of wastewater is addressed at PZC.
Okay. So we would go to the audience now, and I don't know if there's anybody in the audience that wants to talk. Seeing none, we can move on. Does anybody need anything else, or do we want to make a motion to close the public hearing? We can't gather any more information once we close the public hearing. Everybody,
I'd like to make a motion to close the public hearing.
okay? Kelly and Ken was second. Okay. Any comments, questions? No?
It appears to be a good use of the parcel, and it's great to see agriculture, stay agriculture, and great to see horses in the area.
Okay, can I have a roll call to close the public hearing? It's 7:35, by the way.
Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
Chris Renaud.
Yes.
Robert Gillespie.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes to close the public hearing.
Are you going to do a motion for the resolution?
Yeah. Yeah, we could do that.
You want me to do it?
Sure.
I'd like to make a motion to approve IW 71420 Oliver Road, application for wetlands permit for regulated activities in connection with the development of a horse training facility, Seafood Delight Farm LLC, applicant owner, map 47, lot 42, II zone. There's 2 site-specific conditions, handling the vegetation in the center of the track, and the second one, the equestrian water, wastewater, that would be addressed. Then with the standard, I don't have to read all of
No,
those,
no,
right?
no,
Okay,
no.
with the standard. So that's my motion.
Okay.
I'd like to second that.
Okay, thank you. So is Kelly and Ken second that? Any more discussion, concerns? No? Can we have roll call, please? Nice application, by the way.
Yeah. Donna Corbin-Savinsky.
Yes.
Kevin Zorda.
He's not here.
Oh, right. Virginia Higley. Yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
Chris Renaud.
Yes.
Robert Gillespie.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank
Good
you.
luck with your,
Have a good evening.
Quick question. Open to the public?
that's him.
No?
No? That's what I'm saying, boarding of horses and,
Oh, what we're gonna do there?
right, right.
So currently, we train standardbred racehorses, like sulky racing. So, it's our passion, it's a hobby business. Everything's a business today, even though it's a hobby. So I have a small training facility at my house in Summers right now, but the track is really too small. When you race, the minimum size track's a half mile, that's why we're doing the minimum size, so then you can work it ready for the races and stuff like that. We also do breeding, we have mares, we have babies, so it's gonna, bring them up and we race them,
Maybe some 4-H stuff, education.
I was going to say 4-H for the kids.
And it's, this site here, we've looked around a lot of areas, especially in Mass, 'cause I live in Summers, so in Mass, I grew up in Enfield when I was younger. But this was ideal because, we'll board horses there, people will come, they'll train there, but being so close to the highway, we're 2 hours from like Yonkers, New York, which is a big training
Right.
racetrack, or Saratoga, or even Plainridge, which we race out by, Foxville, Plainville, Mass, so it's an ideal location. I've got so many people waiting to
For you to finish.
move in tomorrow if I was ready, but, everything takes just time, we wanna make it right. We run a good operation and, and we'll fix fences and it'll be a nice thing when we're done.
Good luck
So
with
in
it.
the springtime, as we're driving by, we'll see all the lovely horse racing.
Oh, yeah.
See the babies when they come out.
Oh, wonderful.
that'd be fun.
Yeah, a lot of people will be asking, hey, what is that?
I know. Good luck with your project.
Good luck.
Thank you very much.
Take
Thank
care.
you. Next on our agenda is old business. IW 711, 1561 King Street. Application for a wetland permit to build an EV charging station with supporting cafe in the Upland Review area. Bob Patrick applicant, Alamo Family LLC owner, map 17, lot 40, BG zone.
Yes, so with this application, since their previous appearance before the commission, they have submitted revised site plans along with a report for the retaining wall. Previous comments and concerns over spelling errors, the retaining wall, and that revised site plan was submitted shortly for presentation the night of the meeting. Once revised site plans were received, the staff had given back comments highlighting some inconsistencies, errors that were brought up previously, and that the retaining wall would actually be within the setbacks. The applicant is working on a revised set of site plans, altering where the wall may be placed and how it will affect the rest of the site. They're also experimenting with the idea of receiving a waiver from PZC, as that would be allowed within the King Street, Enfield Street zone. Since these revised plans are still being worked on, they are requesting to be heard at the next meeting, 1/22/2025. Their statutory timeframe ends on 1/9/2025, but they're asking for an extension to be able to provide the necessary revisions. I have the request for extension here from Bob. It says, we would like to request that our presentation of the Uplands impact at 1561 King Street be extended from the January 7th meeting as we continue to work through the interpretation of building setbacks and whether the current location of our retaining wall violates zoning regulations. So he did not state within his request how many days he would like, but I would personally recommend giving at least a 30-day extension due to the nature of the weather they would experience at this time of the year.
Yeah.
I'd like
Couple meetings.
I'd like to do a motion to grant an 30-day extension for IW 711, 1561 King Street.
Second.
Second. Okay, any more discussion? Okay, seeing none, roll call. Yeah, I think 30-day, actually, I think 30-day is good, in case something else comes up in between.
Yeah.
It's just a good safety net.
Yeah, it is. Okay.
Okay. Donna Corbin-Savinsky?
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler?
Yes.
Dylan Bridge?
Yes.
Ken Kaufman?
Yes.
Chris Renault?
Yes.
Robert Gillespie?
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Next is 713, IW 713, 53 Oakwood Street. Application for a wetland permit to develop a detached garage. Joseph Rita? Rita, applicant owner, map 76, lot 78, R33 zone. Could you come forward and state your name and address for the record? Hi.
How are
Welcome.
you? Good evening, everyone.
Good evening. So could you state your name and address?
Yeah, so Joe Rita, 53 Oakwood Enfield Street, or Oakwood Street, Enfield.
There you go. Welcome. Want to tell us a little bit about your project, or?
I'm sorry?
Want to tell us a little bit about your project?
Yeah, so I'm looking at constructing a detached garage on my lawn and garden area. 24 by 37 three-bay garage. Basically gives us an extra area for really a workshop, as well as one-car garage. And then we have an existing shed, which we're going to be moving all the lawn and garden contents into the third bay. Once that's done, we'll take the shed down. Second phase of this is to convert the existing garage, which is under the house, into a room. And I really want to see how the garage and everything lines up, but in all likelihood, we'll rip up the asphalt driveway that currently goes into the house.
Right.
And just from the end of the driveway, it's a very short distance to where the new bays would be. So essentially, on my application, I said essentially what I would be installing as new asphalt into the new garage would be equivalent or less than what I would be removing from
The other one.
the existing one.
Right.
And then any of the off-fall or, the soil that would be dug up for the foundation, and it would just be a slab, that would just be kept on site and just essentially feathered from the foundation primarily out to the west and south side of the building, of the new building.
Sounds good. Stephen, do you have anything?
Yes. So I have been working with Joe on this to make sure that we have all the information that we need, and he's been great to work with. Any comments that I've had, he's been able to answer within a timely manner. I did have a question about the stormwater runoff because we want to know where the stormwater was going to be going, and he said that he will have the gutters of the roof liners to take the stormwater from the garage going toward the brook. The height of the garage will comply with planning and zoning standards. And I had asked if there will be any large equipment used, and if so, how will they enter and where will they be stored if they need to be. He's anticipating at most a single piece of large equipment which will enter and exit through the garage that's on the property. And if it does need to be stored on site for whatever reason, it's anticipated that the equipment will not leave the driveway. I will say it was a little funky looking at the wetland delineation for this property because it goes straight through the center when the brook is right next to it.
Right.
So there is a possible mapping error that it should be over the brook, which would still put this within the upland review area. But regardless, to say neither here or there, that's what we currently have according to the town GIS. And the only comment that we had from engineering was that at the time of engineering's review, they did not see the survey that we had mentioned as a part of the narrative. But once that was uploaded, they had no
No
comments.
Perfect. That's perfect. How much is the time difference between phase 1 and 2?
I'm sorry?
The time difference between phase 1 and then phase 2, were you?
Ideally, they would
Right away.
follow immediately.
Yeah, okay.
I've yet to hire a contractor, but ideally, the contractor would do both.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it would be immediately following.
Okay.
Because again, we got to get all the stuff out of the garage.
Yeah, to move it
Do one
over. So
before
you need
we
time in
raise.
between.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds fine. Okay, anybody have any questions, comments, concerns? No? To my left? Yeah, I don't have any, it looks like a nice project. Everything looks fine.
Not as exciting as the previous one.
You're gonna have a nice garage when you're done, though, and a room. It's very nice, thanks. Yeah, so I don't have any. You want, when you make the motion, say phase 1 and 2.
Okay, in the site specific?
Yeah, no, it just said we're approving both phases,
Okay,
just to make sure.
Thank you.
Nobody's confused.
okay. I would like to make a motion to approve IW 71353 Oakwood Drive, application for wetlands permit to develop a detached garage. Joseph Retta, applicant and owner, map 76, lot 78, R33 zone. This would include phase 1 and phase 2, site, with the site-specific conditions. The shape of the FEMA flood zone will be shown on the final plans, keeping the highlight of the base flood elevation at a 139-foot topography line, and then the regular conditions.
I got one change, though. It's street, not drive.
Did I say?
Yeah, you said Oakwood Drive.
Oh, okay.
My
Oakwood
apologies.
Street.
Oakwood Street.
Oakwood Street.
Second?
Thank you.
Chris, okay. Any more discussion, concerns?
Dylan.
Dylan, yeah.
You can call me Chris.
The other side.
The other side is the other Chris. That side's Dylan. Any more discussion, concerns? Roll call, please.
Donna Corbin Sabinski.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman.
Yes.
Chris Renault.
Yes.
Robert Gillespie.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. Thank you very much. Good luck with your
thank you.
project. We have no new business. Enforcement reports, the Cranbrook Drive.
Yep, so for 14 Cranbrook Boulevard, we did receive the revised report as asked. They fixed the typo. And just as a quick little refresher, this was to correct a wetlands violation that had occurred on the property. And the report resulted that after the remediation was done, the soils had tested clean and that there was no more
Contaminations.
contamination. There we go.
So it is 14.
It is 14, correct.
Should we do a motion to
Yes,
close it?
yeah,
So it all finished?
yeah.
I'd like to do a motion to close the enforcement report for 14 Cranbrook Boulevard.
Second.
And Ginny, so Kelly and Ginny. Further discussion? No, seeing none, roll call?
Donna Corbin Sabinski.
Yes.
Virginia Higley, yes. Kelly Hemler.
Yes.
Dylan Bridge.
Yes.
Ken Kaufman. Chris Renault.
Yes.
Robert Gillespie.
Yes.
7 in favor, motion passes. So that's good. One off the list.
Do you have any updates for the other enforcements, like South River Street, Cottage Road, Wheeler Drive?
Yankee Hastings.
I do not have any updates currently for the others that you had mentioned. I did, between the last meeting and this meeting, I did drive out to check up, and this cease and desist order seems to still be in place from what I was able to tell for 59 Cottage. And I do not have any updates yet for 28 South River or 10 Wheeler.
Okay.
Wasn't 102 Cottage also?
It was the wall. I think.
102 Cottage? Oh,
102 Cottage? No?
59 Cottage.
59 Cottage, 59,
Did
yeah.
I say 102?
No, I remember we had one for 102.
I don't have one on
I
102.
don't think so.
No, I don't think so. I don't have it on my list.
First Ave, I believe.
Yeah, it's First Ave. Well, actually, I have a list.
Oh, good.
So some of them are kind of old.
Yankee Hastings.
They've been going on since 1922.
No, sir.
Yeah?
Which
Yeah,
one is-
2022. Sorry, not 19, but 2022. So I'll send you a list, and maybe we could get at the next meeting, get some of these updated. Okay, yeah, I keep my own list. And then maybe we can close some off or whatever.
102 Cottage.
Oh, well, the paperwork says, it's 10 Wheeler Drive. But it's, yeah, that was kind of confusing. It's 10 Wheeler. But then they have like two addresses on the violation. It's 10 Wheeler, and then it says
Yeah.
102, yeah. So maybe the person lived,
Oh, okay.
yeah,
Good to know. Right.
yeah. The next should be our planning staff report.
At this time, I have nothing to report.
Okay. Any applications to receive?
We have not received any applications yet.
Okay. So next is miscellaneous. Did you get a chance to write our,
Yes. So no. Between the holidays and the
I was
norovirus,
thinking that.
I was wiped out for a while. So I'm good now. It's
yeah,
I can get that in the next couple of days, and I'll send an email to you.
yeah. You could take one, pass one.
Yeah.
So this is something I use. It's a sheet for the timeline of the applications.
Thank you.
So, because once we approve an we receive the application, we have so many days to make a decision on it, 35 days, unless they ask for extensions. So that kind of goes through. And then if we have a public hearing, then the dates are a little bit different. So it's just my little cheat sheet that I have. Did you have one?
I have the.
You have the
I have
originals.
something in my office,
Yeah,
but thank you. I
probably-
appreciate it.
Probably the same thing, yeah. So I thought I'd share that since we had a
That's
couple
helpful.
of
Thank
delays.
you.
Yeah, it makes it a little bit easier. And Chris is going to do that letter. Do we have anything else then? Motion?
Move to adjourn,
Janine?
Second?
Kelly?
and the time is?
The time is 7:54. So meeting is, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting's adjourned. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you.